Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're continuing our study of Mark's Gospel. We're actually bringing it to a close. We have today and then 2 more days to talk about Mark's Gospel. We're in chapter 16. We're going to be reading verses 14 through 18. Last time we were together, eyewitnesses brought accounts to the apostles that Jesus had risen. First Mary Magdalene, then the two men who encountered Jesus, evidently on the road to Emmaus, and they did not believe. So today, and that's the theme, is that they wouldn't believe the eyewitnesses, even though Jesus had told them just days before this was exactly what was going to happen. So they have their encounter with Jesus, and they receive this great commission, and so we're going to look at verses 14 through 18. Afterward, he, that is Jesus, appeared to the 11 themselves as they were reclining, perhaps at table, and he reproached them for their unbelief and hardness of heart, because they had not believed those who had seen him after he had risen. And he said to them, "Go into all the world and preach the gospel to all creation. He who has believed and is baptized shall be saved. He who has disbelieved shall be condemned. And these signs will accompany those who have believed. In my name they will cast out demons. They will speak with new tongues. They will pick up serpents. And if they drink any deadly poison, it shall not hurt them. They will lay hands on the sick, and they will recover." Okay. Well, these are important, very important verses. Are they reclining at table, or are they just reclining? We don't have the word table in the original text, and that would be a little surprising, because reclining at table to eat is for banquets and special occasions, and I can't imagine what they would be doing. I mean, they're in turmoil over the events and in hiding, as the other Gospels make clear. But anyway, Jesus appears to them, gives them this commission, which is, repeated in word for word, verse 15, in Matthew's Gospel, and then the insistence that they baptize believers, also mentioned in Matthew's Gospel. This is the same event, and we just have a summary here where we have all the words in Matthew, or we have some of the words in Mark, some of the words in Matthew. I'm not sure, and it doesn't really matter, because they're in agreement. Their commission is to go everywhere, the entire world. It's interesting that in creation, God told Adam and Eve to be fruitful and multiply and fill the planet. And at the new birth, the new birth being offered, the new creation being offered, Jesus tells the apostles to go into all the world and tell the good news to all creation. And then he who has believed and been baptized shall be saved. He who has disbelieved shall be condemned. A lot of folks reading that see an issue. What happens if you believe but you're not baptized? Well, that's splitting hairs. That's not what Jesus had said. I heard a preacher one time say, if you eat your food and digest your food, you'll live. If you don't eat your food, you're going to die. You can't digest your food if you don't eat it first. If you believe, the thing you're supposed to do is to be baptized. That's how you enter the kingdom. That was preached in Acts chapter 2. Jesus said in John chapter 3, you can't enter the kingdom until you're born again of water and of spirit. And Jesus said, baptize them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And he tells them in Matthew, tells them in Mark, go into all the world, baptize everyone. If they believe and are baptized, they'll be saved. If they don't believe, they'll be condemned. There's no problem here in trying to figure out what he means by this. It's pretty much clearly stated. And then he talks about signs, and that word is so key in John's Gospel, because John, and he's read Mark, John takes that word sign, and it's not just a miracle, it's a special kind of miracle. It's a miracle in John's Gospel, and there's 7 of them, that produces life-giving faith. It's not just a parlor trick. It's not even just a demonstration of power. It's something that thematically appeals, something that creates faith in Jesus as the Christ, the Son of the living God. Many signs will accompany those who have believed. In other words, as the gospel is going out, in order to reinforce the gospel, in order to create faith in a world where this is all new, in a world where we don't have this to own and hold in our laps, there are going to be signs, the way Jesus performed signs that we're going to, and the list that he uses comes from Isaiah chapter 35, verses 5 through 6. If you'd like to go back and look at that, with an addition, which is the drinking deadly poison. That didn't happen in the book of Acts. All the other things that we read about happened in the book of Acts, but that didn't happen in the book of Acts. But I don't know that that's an issue. John has told us that there are more things that happened in Jesus' life than could fill all the books on earth. I mean, the earth couldn't hold the books that we would need to record the events in the life of the ministry of Jesus. The Apostle Paul in 2 Corinthians 11 tells us about all these things that have happened to him. In Galatians chapter 2, he talks about the incident with Peter, where he withstood Peter to the face at Antioch. None of those things are reported in the book of Acts, and yet they happened. So just because we don't see anyone drinking poison and not getting sick doesn't mean that's an issue or that it didn't happen. It's just it wasn't one of the things that Luke chose to record in the book of Acts for his own reasons. But anyway, the point is that in this first generation or two of Christians who are going out into all the world, they're going to carry with them power to perform signs that will demonstrate to those who hear their preaching that it is true, and that will produce life-giving faith. Okay, we're going to finish up with the text next time in verses 19 and 20. Thank you so much for joining me for another 5 good minutes.